Alright, so I'm going to start with question number 30. And I'm going to be writing with my hand for this, so it may be a little ugly. Alright, so 30 says, how many solutions does the following function have? And if you remember, a solution is the same thing as an x-intercept. So really for this graph, we just need to see how many times does this hit the x-axis. And our x-axis is going to be this one right here. And so we can see it just hits it one time. And the answer for that would just be D. Same thing with 31. We just need to see how many solutions it has. So there's one here, and there's one here. So that makes 2, and our answer would be C. Okay, 32 says, which of the following is a factor of the trinomial? So this is going to be factoring. We need our A times C chart. Plus and minus. And A times C here is going to be 2 times 20. So that would be 40. Our factors of 40 are 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, 5 times 8, 6 times nothing, 7 times nothing, and then back to 8 times 5. So we've reached all of them. Add them together, I get 41, 22, 14, 13. Subtract, we get 39, 18, 6, and 3. And remember, your B value is the one you're looking for. So our B value is a 3. That means I'm looking at this 3 right here, which means I'm going to use 5 and 8. So we'll take this trinomial, 2x squared plus 3x minus 20, and we'll break it down. So this 3 gets broken down into this 5 and that 8. So 5x and 8x. And since it was in this minus column, we know these are going to have to be different signs. So to get a positive 3, the 5 has to be negative, the 8 has to be positive. Then I just rewrite the other two. Then we're doing grouping. This is where I split it in half. On one side, I have 2x squared minus 5. And on the other side, I have 8x minus 20. I can't factor anything out of... Oops, sorry, I forgot an x. Yes, I can. I can factor an x only out of the first one. So I'll bring an x outside, which leaves me with 2x minus 5. And then on the other side, we can factor out a 4. So that becomes 2x minus 5. So our two factors here are x plus 4 and 2x minus 5, which would make my answer D. Okay, 33, we're matching the graph to the equation. And to do this, we can look at a couple things. So first off, we need to see, we notice right here, our A value is a negative 1. Anytime our A value is a negative number, that means we're going to have a max. So I can go ahead and get rid of 2 of these answer choices. C has a minimum, and B has a minimum. So it can't be either one of those. But then let's look at our C value. If C is negative 1, that means our y-intercept is going to be negative 1. So I need to see which one, A or D, has a y-intercept of negative 1, and it looks like it would be D. Alright, this one we need to see which of these equations represents this graph. So if I look, first off, I can look at my y-intercept. My y-intercept is at 0, which means I should have a C value of 0. So I know it can't be F, and I know it can't be G. So really I need to see which one of these, H or J, could this be. So let's look at if we were to factor this. So on H, I have x squared minus 6x. I set that equal to 0. We can take the greatest common factor out, which is an x, and I'm left with x minus 6 equals 0. So if I were to solve this, I would set them both equal to 0. So x equals 0 and x minus 6 equals 0. So x equals 0, that part's good because that is where one of our solutions is. But then on this one, I could add 6 to both sides, and I get x equals positive 6. Since our other solution is there at positive 6, we know the answer has to be H. And erase this for the next questions. 35 says, what are the coordinates of the vertex shown above? So our vertex is that bottom point, and we can see that the x value there is going to be 3, and the y value at that point is negative 9. So 3, negative 9 would be our answer. For the axis of symmetry, remember that's that dotted line that goes through the vertex. So it's just always going to be x equals, and then we just need the x from the vertex, which from before we found out was just 3. 37, we need to see what are the zeros. Remember, that's our solutions. We found those earlier. It was where x equals 0. So this first point right here was 0, 0. And the second one was this point right here. The x was a 6, the y was a 0. So there are 2 zeros, and those are both of them. Okay, for our transformations, remember your parent function is when the vertex is at 0, 0. So we can see here that our function actually went right 3 units. And then it went down 9 units. So we basically just look at the vertex to see what has changed. And we can see it went right 3, down 9. And then 39 says write the domain and range. So domain, we know that's always all real numbers for quadratics. But for the range, we know that's going to be a y. And for this, we always are going to take the y from the vertex. So our y from the vertex is a negative 9. And if we were to look at this graph, since our entire graph is above negative 9, we would just say y is greater than or equal to negative 9. All right, 40, we have what are the solutions to x plus 5 squared equals 121. We never actually learned this, but it's pretty easy. So if I have x plus 5 squared equals 121. So if I'm trying to solve this, to get rid of our squared, we have to square root both sides. So this ends up being x plus 5 equals, square root of 121 is 11. And this could actually either equal positive 11, or it could also equal negative 11. Oops, won't fit here. So you'd have 2 solutions. If we were to subtract 5 from both of these, we would get x equals for this one here, subtracting 5 from both sides, we would get a 6. So one of our solutions is x equals 6. And if we were to subtract 5 from this one, negative 11 minus 5 is negative 16. So positive 6 and negative 16 are the solutions. Okay, 41, what are the solutions? I'm going to erase this part we just did. So here's another factoring one. I'm just going to put this here. So I got my chart, a times c, plus and minus. And before we can start this one, we need to get rid of that negative 36 from the other side. So I would add 36 to both sides and get 2x squared minus 24x plus 36 equals 0. So 2 times 36, that's just going to equal 72. That's a times c. So our factors are 1 times 72, 2 times 36. Let me check, see what other ones we got. Don't want to miss any. Yep, so we have 3 times 24, 4 times 18, 6 times 12, and then 8 times 9. So there's a lot there. So we add these, we get 73, 38, 27, 22, 18, 17. Subtract to get 71, 34, 21, 14, 6, and 1. And notice we were looking for 24. I don't see a 24. Hold on, what did I do wrong? Alright, I'm going to skip that one. I did something wrong. 41 and 42 are just factoring, so do those. If you need help, ask your teacher. I'm being lazy. Alright, 43. This is where we have to multiply. So on 43, you literally just have to distribute that 8x. So 8x times 3x is 24x squared. And then 8x times negative 7 would be negative 56x. And that right there would be our answer. Now for this one, we're going to be doing the same thing, but we have to distribute 3 times. So first off, we have negative 5x times 2x squared. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. X times x squared is x to the third. Negative 5x times negative 7x, so negative 5 times negative 7 is positive 35. X times x is x squared. And last, I have negative 5 times 4 is negative 20x. So that would be our answer. Alright, here's an exponent rules one. So remember, if you have power to a power, you have to multiply them. So this x to the 13th is going to stay. And then x to the 4th times 2 is x to the 8th. And once we just have multiplying, this is when we add our exponents together. So this would really just become x to the 13 plus 8 is 21. So if this is equivalent to x to the power of p, p would have to equal 21. So B. All right, 46 we're going to simplify. And our first step here is just distribute everywhere that we can. So that's a -1, and that has to be distributed. 3x squared stays the same. -1 times 5x is -5x. -1 times -7 is +7. 7x times 4x is 28x squared. 7x times -9 is -63. Then we have plus, forgot to distribute lines, plus 8x minus 10. And I forgot the x here. So now we're just going to find the like terms. I'm going to start with my x squared, so these two. Those will be combined. So 3x squared plus 28x squared is 31x squared. Then I can go on to just my x's, so -5x, -63x, and +8x. So -5 plus -63, that's -68. And then -68 plus 8 would just be -60x. And then I just have a +7 and a -10, which makes -3. So that would be my final answer. All right, exponent rules again. So on 47, we have to see which of these is equivalent. Well, that just means the same. So this really is just going to equal, we can distribute that 3. So 3 times x to the power of 0 times, there's no plus sign there, so it's just going to be a y. And x to the power of 0 is just going to be a 1. So this would really just be 3y. Anything to the power of 0 is 1, which just kind of makes it go away. 48. This is another exponent rules. We're going to start with just the numbers. So if I have 14/6, this can be simplified by dividing the top and the bottom by a 2. So that really becomes 7/3. Then if I subtract my exponents, I get 5 minus 8 is r to the -3. 5 minus 2 would give me s to the power of +3. And remember, anytime you have a negative exponent, it just goes to the bottom. So this would really be r to the 3rd on the bottom. So 7s to the 3rd over 3r to the 3rd. So it'd be B. Okay, 49, we're going to take this one side at a time. So let's start with the left side. And I have 16 divided by 2. That gives me 8. And then down here I have a to the power of 0. We know that was just equal to 1, so we don't really have to even worry about that. So I'm just left with ab squared. Now on this side, again, this b to the power of 0 doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to be left with 3/5. Then I have a divided by a. So 1 minus 1 is 0. Those a's are just also going to cancel out. And then I have -3 minus 2. So that'd be b to the power of -5. Then I have to keep simplifying, so I'll multiply these together. So 8 times 3 is 24. Then I just have an a. Then b squared times b to the -5. I would add those together, and I'd get b to the -3 all over 5. 24/5 can't be simplified, so I'll leave that, but that -3 does have to go to the bottom. So this would end up being 24a over 5b to the third. And then last we have 50. It's this big expression, but it's all to the power of 0. And anything to the power of 0 is just equal to 1. So our answer has to be C. And that's it for the